Bold and the Beautiful spoilers reveal that a shocking event is about to happen when Thomas Forrester returns to town. News of Hope's firing has reached Thomas, and he can no longer stand by. Thomas knows that it's time for him to get involved in the important developments that are shaking up the lives of those he loves. But this time, Thomas's target is not only about Hope. His return will be even more shocking when it seems that he has his sights set on Electra, the woman that Will has his eyes on. Electra has formed an intimate and romantic relationship with Will since arriving in town. Their connection initially seems promising and exciting as they are both young and immersed in their new love. However, when Thomas appears, everything changes for Electra. She is attracted to the maturity and elegance of Thomas, a man who is more mature, thoughtful, and experienced. Thomas's confidence made Electra realize that she was no longer satisfied with her childish, naive love for Will, but wanted someone who could accompany her in a stronger and more stable way. Faced with Thomas's impressive appearance, Will realized that he might be losing the woman he loved, and the fact that Electra gradually moved away from Will to get closer to Thomas pushed Will into a state of anger and despair, and finally Electra decided to break up with Will, a decision that struck him like a bolt from the blue. In his frustration, Will unleashed an uncontrollable anger, and this made many people wonder if he was gradually becoming like his father Bill, a man who was also hot-tempered and possessive. The confrontation between Will and Thomas was not simply a fight over a woman, but also represented the opposing values and personalities between the two men. Will was young and hot-tempered, facing an experienced and calm Thomas, which made him feel threatened and inferior. While Thomas draws Electra with his depth and stability, Will becomes increasingly tense and jealous. These complex emotions will lead to a tense and dramatic confrontation between the two. Will be able to control himself and accept the fact that Electra has chosen Thomas, or will he be blinded by pride and anger, leading to reckless actions like his father? Thomas's death shocks the town. This dramatic development stems from Will's impulsiveness and blind jealousy when he cannot bear to see Thomas and Electra happy together. Will is filled with anger and disappointment, feeling that if Thomas had not appeared, his love for Electra could have grown. But Thomas' appearance not only takes away Electra's feelings, but also pushes Will into a state of instability, agitation, and finally he makes a cruel decision that no one expected, taking Thomas's life. This is the first time Will has committed such a serious crime, and it is also a dark turning point in his life. In desperation, Will decides to meet Thomas for a final talk in the hope of convincing him to give up Electra. But the meeting quickly turns into a heated argument. Will's anger and resentment reach their peak when he pulls out a knife and, in a moment of losing control, stabs Thomas to death. Immediately after committing the crime, Will panics and flees the scene, filled with chaos and horror when he realizes he has just committed a crime. Will calls his father to inform him of the incident. Instead of advising Will to turn himself in, Bill decides to protect his son at all costs. Bill coldly instructs Will to leave town immediately to avoid being chased by the police, promising that he will come to the scene and clean up all traces of the case. Bill arrives at the crime scene in the dark of the night, carefully erasing any traces that could be related to Will. It was a risky move, but Bill was willing to do whatever it took to protect his son from the terrible consequences he might face. After completing the task, Bill called the police to report Thomas's death, fabricating a false story to mislead the investigation. Will this terrible secret remain hidden forever? Or will the traces Bill left behind become clues to the truth being revealed?